Hey guys, it's Mai from Cafe, and I wanted to bring up some issues that I just noticed and that everyone's kind of like paranoid about on Twitter. So I don't know if you guys know about Sam Bankman Fried. He's the owner of FTX, but as you know, he got really wealthy by doing like high leverage trading from like cryptocurrency wiring. And there's a bunch of videos on YouTube where he like openly talks about it, and I've always found it to be weird. So originally, my thoughts about him were he's a very seems to be a nice guy. Like I can't understand like why someone would want. But I've noticed certain things about him that makes me uncomfortable. So he said he's spent over $1 billion lobbying to lobbyists for crypto regulation, which seems nice, right? Like it seems like a great idea. But I'm also, paranoid with Charles Hoskinson as well. That's a whole other video we can talk about because it's the same sentiment where people who appear to be really, really sweet are taking advantage of the system behind everyone's back. So that's a huge issue to me. So yeah, again, he kept making statements saying that he was going to like lobby for crypto. He's going to spend close to $1 billion. Who spends close to $1 billion for lobbying on something? It's like, why don't you just build the things that we need to lobby? Like $1 billion is a lot. And $1 billion is a scary amount to basically where you're forcing someone to do something, right? That makes me a bit uncomfortable. So I thought it was $1 billion to lobby in the correct direction, not knowing that this man may be the end all be all for crypto. So remember, FTX has they offer like stocks, kind of like secure, like it's kind of like, I don't use FTX, but I think he has something of the nature where you can trade decentralized assets that are like versions of companies and stocks, right? Like I think that was, he was like, I want that. Like that was his niche. So I really don't think he cares as long as he gets this. Like he could destroy crypto, but if he can use the technology for like um how do I say this intelligently? If he can use it for not securities, but like uh, uh, tokenized versions of these stocks and companies, he wins, right? No matter what happens in crypto. And that's the issue. He's been working with regulators, but I think only on his behalf. So we're going to go over this article and I'm going to go over a few tweets where he has responded really strangely. Like, and I also need to understand too, I don't think he has a developer background. I really think he was doing the high frequency trading of crypto assets and like had a lot of money and like just made so much money from trading that he kind of created his own exchange. But like, I think there's an issue with people who come into this space with a lot of money and then create based upon that, and they do things to benefit them versus someone who has a developer background and who does things for the space on a technological foundation, not only just on finances. Because I think those two in crypto should be separate. Like, yeah, it's cool if someone has money, but like, I don't want them to speak on all of crypto from their perspective because it might be a financially separate conviction versus someone in DeFi that wants to build, be decentralized, be community driven, wants this to work for all the people. Okay, so we're just gonna go over this article from Decrypt, and then I'm gonna go through some of Sam's tweets that are kind of sketch, and we're just gonna get into it because I'm shocked because if you've watched any of his interviews, he seems like a really nice guy, and I don't like people like that pretend to be really nice and are like, like antichrist, and it's just like, don't do that. Like that's sucks a lot. Okay, so I'm gonna share this article. Okay, so draft of the DeFi killing CFTC bill, which has been leaked. And it's been circulating in DC, which is really weird. So, a copy of the Still in Progress Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act, DCCPA, which outlines how the Commodities Futures Trading Commission would regulate the crypto industry. The draft appears to show some softening of the language that drew criticism before it could have created a de facto ban on DeFi, which is the whole issue. A catch all term for blockchain financial tools allow traders to borrow, trade, and loan crypto assets without a third party. That was the point, right? We don't want people to step in. Notably, this version contains a limited exception to the term digital commodity trading facility, which would exclude persons who solely develop. So it only excluded people that develop or publish software, which is like coders, software engineers, smart contract writers, right? Which is, I guess, okay, but like, I mean, look what happened with the creator of Tornado Cash. I mean, they say it's fine now, but so Shapiro said that he made the draft available to the public because of the displeasing transparency and the open discussion of future crypto law. I've long been a believer in transparency and open discussion of future crypto law. Accordingly, I've obtained a copy of a draft notorious DCCPA circulating in DC, and I'm hereby making available to the public. Bless that man. And I'll go over it. The DCCPA was introduced by Senator Debbie Staniel and John Boozman in August. Since then, Coinbase and FTX CEO Sam Bankman Fried have been openly supportive of it. Questionable. So it's also gained some traction because it offers an alternative to what has been described as regulation by enforcement strategy from the SEC. Both Coinbase and FTX, centralized entities, have drawn criticism for supporting the bill that has been interpreted as a threat to decentralized protocols in the industry, such as those that power decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. And here's someone pointed out. Here's a fun one people aren't noticing. Sam Bankman Fried quietly lobbying to get the Digital Commodities Consumer Protection Act passed, which gives the CFTC the power to kill DeFi, but it benefits FTX. So that's, yeah. On Tuesday night, Bankman Fried wrote on Twitter that he still believes the DCCP will effectively create a regulatory framework for centralized exchanges without endangering the existence of software blockchains, validators, and DeFis, etc. And here is his feed. I'll post more later, but crypto, for that matter, commerce in general, does not function without a peer-to-peer transfers and presumption of freedom. Okay, we know that. It has to be free to write software as long as it's not a scam. Validators' job is to validate, not police. I'm optimistic that the stable non-Boozman bill will provide customer protection on centralized exchanges without endangering the existence of software blockchain validators. If I were convinced I was wrong about that, I would not support it. So that means that he believes that it will do this, but he is not entirely sure that the regulation will not steep over into software, blockchains, and validators. On Wednesday, he then shared a link to a 3,007-word blog post outlining his thoughts on how digital assets industry would be regulated. In it, he defines that DeFi is one of the trickier things that account for regulatory framework. What? Meanwhile, the crypto lobbyist group Blockchain Association has been vocal about saying the DCCPA needs changes, or else it'll create a de facto ban on decentralized finance. That's so gross. He said that the language in the bill would treat all of the crypto industry like centralized entities, but it would make it difficult for DeFi protocols no more than cold to comply with regulation. He quoted the comments against Wednesday. I'm hopefully it can be amended to treat DeFi fairly. We have to wait and see what the next draft says. Let's go to his thread. I don't believe anything this man says now. Because again, remember, this man will still win because he has FTX. So let's read his little blog post. I fundamentally believe that blocklists are the correct approach to sanctions and compliance. So I don't believe that. I don't think that. So we have to let our government do this job. If you guys find someone that's violating the law, you need to first identify the person. Sanctioning a list or an address doesn't do that effect just because the person who's committing the crime can send money to different wallets. So that is a loose, if the person identifies himself, because there are some hackers that are very, bold and will like the Mango hacker who literally forced them to give him a bounty for hacking the protocol and identifying a bug. That's bold, right? Like those people you can directly identify and find and they should be legally charged. To just blacklist things at a protocol level, the federal government is not doing their job. Like they need to search, they need to hunt. I don't think the protocol is responsible for policing. And the same thing with COVID when you had people like at restaurants checking their passes and stuff. The businesses that exist are not regulatory entities that should not have to uphold the random standards that you create. Ugh. So allowing all transfers opens the door to significant financial crimes. Banning transfers unless commerce involves halts and freezes of the economically disadvantaged. Maintaining a block list is a good balance. Rating illegal transfers and freezing funds allocated with financial crimes is otherwise aligned commence. Maintain the presumption freedom of peer-to-peer transfers in decentralized blockchain unless there is specified evidence of scam illicit finance. Yeah, but that's the thing. You have to like that's unless. There should not be unless. Peer-to-peer needs to exist. There is no unless. That clause is invalid. At the same time, in sanction compliance right now, tapping in funds for illicit. I don't know. Asset listing, what is his security? And that's why I don't like him too. He's been using the security framework, which is like security verbiage, which is the same verbiage with the SEC. And I know they're like best friends right now, but like stop doing that until they define legally what is a cryptocurrency. None of them are securities. The Securities Act was made 1940s, 1960s. The term security doesn't even apply by a technological standard. You know that. We know that. Don't do this. And again, I think he's just piggybacking and trying to make himself look good. So whatever happens, he's in a better position to take over the industry. And it's really annoying too, even with the whole Voyager thing. An aside, I don't trust him after the Voyager thing because he borrowed money from Voyager right before they collapsed. Why would you borrow money for something then buy it back out? Why would you be $1 billion corporation borrow money from a smaller corporation around the time when they're going into default? Very, very questionable behaviors and actions from this man. Look, and eventually there needs to be legislative, regulatory, or judicial financial clarity on this question. Until now, this is how FTX plans to proceed. First, our team will do analysis of assets according to the Howey test. Oh my God. If okay, but no one told you to do that though. That is what the SEC is using for their basis, which is outdated, and they're being forced to provide clear framework, which they refuse to comply with, and will possibly be a bigger issue, right? Why are you using a test that we don't even find to be dated in the depiction of a security or a crypto asset? If if does not find it to be a security, will treat it as a non-security commodity unless the asset is found by the SEC appropriate court jurisdiction to be a security. I don't think we should work with this man anymore. I don't think we should support FTX. Um, his verbiage is scary, um, and he just wants tokenized equities. This is all he cares about. He wants all stocks to be tokenized on his platform. It's why he's brought such a high stake in Robinhood. He's playing a different game that we're all in, and he needs to go play it by himself. Yeah. DeFi is crucial to all the innovation that digital assets could ultimately bring. It is also one of the trickier things to think about in the context of regulatory frameworks. But there's never going to be a perfect answer. All we can do is put one foot in front of the other. So here's a proposal for regulatory heuristics using DeFi. On one hand, your actions to feel more like free speech expression and mathematic constructs. Those are purely writing code and deploying it to decentralized blockchains and validating blocks according to the rules of the chain. Decentralized code is free speech. On the other hand, you have constructs that look more like centralized financial service. Hosting a website facilitates and enables US retail investors to access DeFi protocols and marketing products. What this means is you don't need a license to upload code to a blockchain, so it's otherwise illegal and nefarious. See, and again, all these, and okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but when you're writing out code or software for a blockchain, it is unlicensed, right? Because we don't want to, we want people to be able to copy the code, mimic it, and develop it on their own, right? So the concept of offering a license turns it into an Apple situation where everyone is fighting over the licensing and it becomes this thing. And that's, I from a coding level, none of us want that. Similarity, validators have a core duty to correct, validate blocks, not to judge or police them. However, the following activities will require some licensing. Hosting a website on, oh my God, hosting a web, no, this is bad. Hosting a website on AOS to provide US front ends for decentralized protocols, marketing DeFi. So that's everyone. He's full of horse shit because, like, not everyone would need a license, but literally every protocol has to host a website for their front end. So I don't like people that say that, oh, it's not going to be a big deal. However, the qualifications apply to everyone. And marketing DeFi products to US investors, how are people supposed to know about it if you don't market it? Even in a slight sense, I'm not talking about using influencers, but like making, tweets about what it does and I don't think so he's saying that you could write a code for the DEX and upload the blockchain without a license. You can trade on the DEX without the license, but you have to do it with your own money and not managing a fund. So what if I have my own DAO and I'm doing it for my entire decentralized autonomization? So you can send peer to peer without a license, although you have to avoid sending to a sanctioned address. What if I don't know the address is sanctioned? And then, so if you're hosting a website that makes it easier for US retail to connect and trade on a decentralized exchange, you would likely have to register as something like a broker or an FCM. Or, see, that's not fair because the whole purpose of a DES is that it's not centralized. You're trying to make a decentralized or uh, exchange be centralized when the whole point of it is that it's not centralized. So the legal obligations that a centralized exchange would have to go through, it doesn't have to go through because it's not ran by a body. It is ran by smart contracts and code like structures. Obviously, there needs to be someone on the back end to like check it and, watch the polls and do all those things. But you're not asking a DEX to become a sex. It's like a sex, like a centralized exchange. And that's not fair. It would potentially have KYC obligations. It's literally, and I also know what it is too. I think he wants to push DEXs out the way so there can be a limited amount of centralized exchanges. It's like kind of like conquer and divide and destroy. He's happy with the whole Celsius thing. He's happy with the Voyager because he gets to basically buy these assets at a discount and becomes one of the few centralized exchanges still standing because he's working in this regulatory framework. And I just don't think that's fair. Um, yeah, I'm also going to link this article, but I think this is also the bill. I'm going to leave this for you guys to go over because it's just a lot of verbiage and it's better. But yeah, I don't trust Sam Bankman Fried anymore at all. And I think that we should all be very worried about his intentions with crypto and that he would throw us under the bus for regulatory control. And it's really sad because he didn't have to do that. And didn't want to do that. So let me go to Twitter really fast. Two other tweets where people also were identifying two other tweets where people also are putting two together and they were just like, what? Um, Sam Bankman Fried really made billions pharmacy dumping new. Yeah, that was also a thing because he also allowed like any token to be put on FTX and like leverage trading for people. I don't know. It's giving me like I made my money. I don't care what happens now. Yeah, he would allow any new decentralized exchange token that came along and allow it on the platform and then just let it dump. And then he's saying that they should all apply for a broker license. Well, you're the same person that allowed these tokens to be put on your exchange. So it's like, do you care? Um, Sam, with all respect, you're saying that DeFi should be OFAC. You're saying on-chain free should be normal. You're saying the DeFi front end, yeah, that's what I'm saying. The front end should not have to register as a broker dealer. The back end, yeah, maybe because that would be the coding. But why would the front end have to register? Because that's the front end for non-tech people is just the UI, like how it looks. The back end is more the smart contract. So and again, this would eliminate the US from the crypto race because they're proposing things that other countries are not going to propose because it's like just And I mean, and then he's also making, so also in light of this, I think he's behind Aptos, which is a weird token that we don't even know what it does. But look at the pre-sale amount, the token amount, the price. Oh God, the private sales. You just shove this on the market, and there's a whole nother fiasco happening with Aptos. I have to make another video for that. Minted fake tokens on FTX to gain balancer fine. He attempted to take over Sushi. Oh God. Listed all perpetuals on illiquid do yeah, he did add perpetual trading contracts on illiquid DeFi tokens to aid in the farm and dumped. Yeah, and call it altruism. He's suspected of liquidation hunting. Yeah, that was an issue that everything was being liquidated on FTX on purpose. He lowballed. Yeah, he basically bought Voyager, the finances on Voyager post the crash for pennies on a dollar, and he's trying to do the same with Celsius. And he's lobbying against DeFi now. And the excuse can be made that he did save the crypto industry, but now that I don't think he saved it. I'm pretty sure that he encouraged it to happen at this point. Um, I don't know. It's not looking good for my guy. What is a bit license? Yeah, I don't know. Uses information to asymmetry to liquidate his users and then donates all of his to his favorite causes of politicians. Yeah, we've known that he does liquidate users intentionally. That's been known. This is sad. Yeah, so I guess we all fell for it, guys. So I'm not saying he's a villain. I'm just not saying that I say that he's moved with negative intention this whole time. Um, and it's really sad because his actions might ruin so many projects in the US and so many of our growth. And obviously we'll recover, we'll go to other countries, doesn't really matter. But for you to go on camera and act like, oh, I'm so nice and kind and I'm donating all this money to charities from our altruism of crypto and I have good intentions about the space, like it's not a good look. So I've only, and by the way, I've only had an FTX account. Like, it was really hard to make a transfer. I had to wait 3 days. It was very weird. I was like, ew, I don't like it. So I'm closing mine because, sorry if you guys have FTX sponsors. I know this sucks. They probably pay you very well. But if someone would go to this lengths to create, to lobby billions of dollars to do something like this, we have a huge problem in this space. We have a huge problem. Okay. I'm gonna post the links for the bill, his blog post to make himself feel better, and other related tweet threads about the situation. Okay, bye guys. Thank you for watching this video.